Hi friends, we have 4 maps currently in Apex Legends, and each map is set on a different planet. Today I'm going to talk about the lore behind each of these maps and the planets that they're on. The setting of Apex Legends takes place in the Outlands. The Outlands is a collection of planets on the fringe of the frontier. The frontier is usually a dense cluster of habitable planets, discovered in 2292. The frontier was mainly colonised by the IMC, as they had the only ships capable of making the journey. I'll talk more about the frontier in a separate video when I talk about Titanfall lore, but for now let's focus on the Outlands, which sits on the fringe of the frontier system. Travel from the core system to the Outlands takes roughly 20 years, hence why Bangalore has had such a hard time getting back home to Gridiron, and it's also why Loba sending Revenant source code off to Gridiron makes it so hard to get. The Outlands was controlled by the IMC for most of its history, primarily because of its military and mining outposts. From 2713 to 2719, the IMC began to retract from the Outlands to focus on its efforts in the Frontier War. The Outlands Civil War ran from 2716 to 2723 and ended with the Mercenary Syndicate Treaty. The 6 planets that signed became Syndicate Space, while the rest became independent fringe worlds. Now let's look at the maps. The first map we had in Apex Legends was Kings Canyon. Kings Canyon is a former IMC military base and research center that was located on the planet Solace, and it now plays host to the Apex games. Solace is a desert planet in the Outlands, where it's always summer. It's considered to be the center of the Outlands because of its location. Previously, Solace was controlled by the IMC, and as I mentioned, was a familiar research and development outpost. Currently though, Solace does sit under the Syndicate jurisdiction. Interestingly, the Thunderdome games previously used to take place on Solace as well. If you didn't know, the Thunderdome games were the precursor to the Apex games, and when Bliss decided to bring back a larger format of the Thunderdome games and call them the Apex games, he moved Luke Paquette with Luke's daughter Natalie, who you'll know as Watson, to Kings Canyon so they could design much of the infrastructure that you see in the Apex games today. Solace City is the largest city on the planet and the main hub of life on Solace. There you have Mirage's Bar, the Paradise Lounge. Some other notable locations on Solace are Coma, a city where Mirage actually crashed his party ship into the downtown plaza, and it now serves as the Party Crashers map. Also there's Little Mouse, a small town 10 kilometers outside Solace City, and home of Gibraltar's family since Solace was first colonized. And finally, there's Eelhead Bay, which was actually the previous home of Watson, her father and her mother, before they moved to Kings Canyon, minus her mother of course, who died when she was young. And as I mentioned Watson and Gibraltar, Solace is the original home of Gibraltar, Mirage, Revenant and Watson. Moving on to World's Edge, because this was the second map we saw arrive in Apex Legends. World's Edge is on the planet Talos. Talos is a volcanic planet in the Outlands, initially deemed uninhabitable after the discovery of a rare mineral compound known as Baranthium. The IMC invested in cooling towers to make the landscape habitable. Today, the planet falls under Syndicate jurisdiction, much like Solace. Before World's Edge hosted the Apex games though, it was an IMC mining outpost. Unfortunately, there was a reactor meltdown which caused flash freezing as well as the death of many residents, including Bloodhound's parents. It is in fact the home planet of Bloodhound, whom still has their village close by. 2 other notable locations on Talos are the Phase Runner, which is a prototype Phase Runner located at the peak of a mountain, and you'll be familiar with it as an arena map. There's also Hephaestus Station, commonly known as Overflow. It's an automatic Baranthium processing station located among magma flows. Now it's used as an arena for the arena mode, as you'll be familiar with. Moving on, we have Olympus, which came as our 3rd map in Apex Legends. Olympus is a floating city above the planet Samathi. Samathi is a metropolitan planet in the Outlands, distinguished for its high cost of living and wealthy residents. It is the smallest planet in the Outlands though, and happens to be the home of Lifeline, Octane and Horizon, as well as the place where Pathfinder was created. Olympus used to be an inhabited city with many wealthy areas. The city was created by a one Lillian Peck, who was the billionaire founder of Olympus. And it did have a famous lab where Horizon discovered Baranthium, which was the solution to the energy crisis in the Outlands. It was also the location where the group successfully refined Baranthium into a sustainable energy source, and building Pathfinder in the process to achieve this. Unfortunately, greed got the better of the powerful people, and the Phase Runner incident caused a large energy reaction known as the Rift. It led to Olympus becoming uninhabited, and later becoming host to the Apex Games, which is what we're familiar with at the moment. If you didn't know, Bonsai Plaza has a restaurant, which was in fact the location where Loba's parents were killed by a Revenant. Another notable location on Samathi is Malta, which is also a metropolitan city, but a lot more built up than Olympus. It's an area where Pathfinder worked for a number of years, and also where he met his good friend Victor Maldera. Storm Point was our fourth map to arrive. Storm Point is on the planet Gaia. Gaia has a large urban population, although most of the planet's population live on farms. Gaia also happens to be the home planet of Caustic, Crypto, and Rampart, and was indeed where Rampart's famous modding shop was located. Storm Point is a long-forgotten IMC research base located on a tropical island teeming with dangerous wildlife, and as such is off-limits to the public, and now the stage for the Apex Games, as you're familiar with because it's the new map this season. Some other notable areas on Gaia are the Amelia mountain range. It's a wild jungle area which is home to the Carthage spiders. These are gigantic spiders that release an extremely toxic gas when in danger or hunting. You'll be familiar with this type of gas because it's where caustic gas is derived from. Plus, these spiders can also be used to cure the infection caused by Medusa vines, as we saw spread on Olympus and later cured thanks to Horizon and the other legends. Some other notable areas are Suotamo, which is one of the largest cities in the Outlands. It's known for its resemblance to Angel City, which is a location in the frontier, and it even has a similar angel statue. Tikachek Orphanage is located here in Suotamo, and this happens to be the place where Crypto grew up with his sister Mila, after being found on the streets by Caustic's mother, Mystic. Zaldana City, former home of Humbert Labs, is also located on Gaia. Of course, Humbert Labs did burn down and was the place where Alexander Knox was supposedly found dead. The final notable place on Gaia is Holly Grove, which is Caustic's birthplace. We don't know too much about it, but we do know that it's a location on Gaia and significant to Caustic's lore. But there are a few other planets that we haven't seen maps on just yet that are featured as part of the Outlands. Salvo is one of these planets and happens to be where Fuse is from. Now, Salvo was previously not part of the Syndicate Treaty and considered a fringe planet run by warlords. That is until Lifeline's parents and other Syndicate members managed to strike a deal to bring Salvo into the Syndicate Treaty. Like I said, we don't have any current maps on Salvo, but maybe we will in the future. Boreas is another planet in the Outlands and is home to Sia. It has a robust textile industry, which leads to a ubiquity of moths throughout the planet's culture, traditions, and even their superstitions. You'll be familiar with the famous folktale, The Moth and the Flame, which we saw when Sia arrived in Apex Legends. In 2708, a meteor struck its moon and shaved off a significant part of said moon's landmass. This caused the deterioration of the moon, and it's stated to cause regular meteor showers on Boreas' surface and atmosphere. Disturbing changes in the planet's tide, rising temperatures at the poles, and even plummeting temperatures at the equator are some other symptoms of this damaged moon. Reports have stated that if nothing is done, Boreas will be unlivable in 50 to 70 years. The Encore Arena is also located there, and you can actually see in the sky of the Encore Arena that exact effect of the damaging moon that I mentioned. And there you have it, those are all of the Syndicate planets in the Outlands that we know about so far. I hope you found this lore video interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.